When I think of my times when I was a barber, especially at the very beginning, you know, when I was just like starting out cutting hair, not like in the backyard, but actually in the barber shop. You know, those first like months, first year or two, those were some of the loneliest moments of my life up to that point, right? They were lonely because, yes, I was cutting a lot of clients, but I felt like nobody understood what I was going through at the time. The struggles, the stresses, and even though I was like cutting, you know, 8 to 10 plus people a day, kind of doing the old school barber route, I felt like nobody understood me. And I felt like I was just kind of like going to work every day just to put on a happy face. I felt very hopeless, right? Of like this career itself of barbering, of cutting hair. And I think I try to like, I was always focused on like trying to make myself not feel so lonely. I was always trying to make myself, well, man, I feel so lonely. Man, let me go and like try to make friends, or let me try to go out and be social, or let me kind of try and do this or do that. And I think a lot of you go through this at some point in time, or even go through this right now, whether you're growing your business as one of our private clients, or you're just a barber who is just listening to this as well too on the podcast or inside the free group. You are going to feel very lonely at some point in time. You're going to feel like nobody understands exactly what you're going through. And you're going to want to do something about it to fill that void. What I learned of trying to fill that void is, it's like an empty hole, right? Like, sure, I could fill it with like, I don't know, let's say I dig a hole. And sure, I could fill it with like, I don't know, junk and shit. Like, you just fill it up, but it's still an empty void, an empty hole. I'm feeling hopeless, right? And that's what that's what the feeling really was. I was feeling hopeless. No matter how much I went out, no matter how much I became social or like started going out and drinking, I still felt like this sinking hole in me. I felt very, I felt like something was missing in my life, right? I didn't feel whole. And it took me a while to understand this, and I hope it finds you a lot of like liberation and kind of like an at ease when hearing this. But I don't think you're supposed to fill the hole or fill the loneliness at all. In fact, what I kind of understand of loneliness now, or just like that feeling, is free space, right? For me to take on a mission in life, right? And it's like free space for me to go ahead and like, I've kind of like detached from like all these social norms of like having a lot of friends, going out and partying, having a big social group. I have all that removed. Now this like the void was always there, but I was feeling it with dumb shit. So I didn't feel that thing, right? And it took me to remove everything, all of that void out, right? All the friends partying, all that dumb shit, right? When you do when you're like 21 years old. To feel that void and then try to fill it back up again with dumb shit, right? And then I realized this still doesn't feel right. I still feel like there's a void there. Now, what actually filled it back up, meaning that void or that hole or that lonely feeling, was like the idea of a mission. The idea of applying myself to a mission, right? Or a big task to tackle, right? Like kind of like me against the world. Because without that, I just felt like life was just like, imagine like we're all playing sports, right? Like life is a big sports game. There's professional sports, but like the game I felt like I was playing was like a rec league, Sunday league sports team. Like it was like, there's no purpose. Everybody's kind of here for fun and like, woo. I'm like, I don't like this. I want to be in the pro leagues. I don't want to be at this level, right? So when I started going after a mission, the void kind of like, I knew it was still there, but it felt a lot less. And I started filling it up with much more meaningful tasks that brought me to life, right? And when I started studying more like individuals who I look up to, or individuals that like have accomplished great things. Take for instance somebody like Michael Jordan. If you ever watched the Last Dance documentary, there's a part in there where legit, because Michael Jordan was so fucking famous, he was so much of a fucking icon, he could not leave his hotel room. Like, besides when he played a game, he was just in his hotel room reading and watching film. Because he couldn't go out and have a life. right? And some people be like, oh my God, that's so lonely. But like, that's the price you have to pay in order to get the goal or go on the mission. Like, first you have to have the void to understand, okay, I need to find a mission. And then that void and empty space or that loneliness feeling is the price that you have to pay in order to get what you want. Because you can't feel like you're like this social butterfly going out and doing all these parties and shit and trying to go on a mission. It's not gonna happen. Or at least it's not gonna happen to the level you probably want to happen towards. So I just started looking at that void, that loneliness feeling. Again, I filled the void with like that mission. Still somewhat felt lonely a little bit, right? But I understood that loneliness is the price I have to pay in order to get the goals and the mission that I want to achieve. And if that's the price, I don't mind, right? Because again, the only thing that's gonna be here long term is me, myself, and I. And the only person I'm gonna talk to at night is me, myself, and I, right? After all said and done, I'm only gonna be talking to myself. I'm not gonna be talking to all the homies and buddies, right? They're gonna be short term, they're gonna be here for seasons, whatever it may be. That doesn't mean I'm not gonna have good relationships with them, just means I'm gonna put myself and my mission first. And I think a lot of you who whether you're feeling like lonely right now, or whether you're feeling like you have a big void, or just like you're kind of lost, I think that's the price you have to pay on the journey to get your goal. And I don't think you should be running away from it. I think you should be leaning into it. I think you should be really questioning, do I have a mission right now? If I feel lost, is it because I don't have a direction? I don't have a mission to go towards. Cool, once I get a mission to go towards and I still feel lonely, am I okay with feeling this way for a long period of time, like every great person has to do? Every athlete has to train alone, train by themselves, can't be going out partying, have a social life like that. Chris Bumstead's not going out and partying, staying out late and going out to nice dinners. He's in there training and eating his bland meal prep by himself. Am I willing to pay that price to get to the goals I want to get to? And that's the big separating factor. A lot of people do not want to do that once they understand how hellacious and how hard it is going to be. And a very select few will rise to the top and be like, bet. Let's fucking find out. And I think every single one of you who's listening to this has to at least try. You have to at least try, right? I just made another one of these daily thoughts inside of the Elevated Mentorship program about trying. Why it's important to try. I think I'm going to drop that as a podcast too, because it's like, this is so important. You have to try things. You have to feel the pain. You have to go ahead and feel the embarrassment, because that's going to create you. That's going to force you to want to improve and do better for the next time, to not fail. So, if you feel lonely on your journey, you feel like, again, you're all alone, like, don't look at it as like a bad thing. I think it's like, this is exactly where you're supposed to be at in this journey. Everybody goes through it. Embrace it. I remember, like, honestly, the loneliest times I've had so far in my life was honestly when I used to live in Los Angeles, building New Era Barbering without a team. I would just wake up and do everything by myself, right? From like 6 a.m. to like 10 p.m. at night, get a workout in, other than I'm just in front of my computer, not talking to anybody. Mostly I'm just in my head trying to build things, right? Trying to fix like websites, trying to like do the back end software for like the copy on the tracking overall. Like, it was just and I just had to go to work, and I became and I was like, you know what? This is like the loneliest time of my life, but I get to be super selfish. I don't have to answer to nobody, do everything on my own time, and this is the price I have to pay to get to where I want to go. And I think a lot of people will go, woe is me, this sucks, this is boring. But if I just kind of like push through, if I just understand this is the price I have to pay, fuck it, I'll pay the price. Right? I don't mind feeling that way for a small time to get the goals I want to in the long term. Feeling that pain in the short term to get the goal I want to in the long term, I don't mind that at all. I'll make that trade all day fucking long. I think that's a big separating factor between a lot of people. I think you have to look at yourself right now. Are you willing to go ahead and go ahead and devote yourself to that short-term pain, short-term loneliness, short-term hollowness in order to get the long-term goal? And look, hey, if you don't want to, that's absolutely fine. I'm not saying anybody has to do that. I'm not saying also too, this is the correct path. I am saying that this is kind of like the most, I'm a sick fuck. I got a couple wires upstairs that aren't fucking going like in the correct places. I just like doing shit like this. There are people who are just wired differently. And if you're not like that, that's fine. If you're wired normally, congrats. And as long as you're happy. Because I know for me, doing stuff like this, putting myself through pain, putting myself through hard times, and coming out on top is what brings me so much joy. And because I've experienced that, I know like there are a select few who absolutely thrive in that, who absolutely want that to happen to them. They want those experiences because that's like the almost the what's it called? That's like the ecstasy in life almost, you know? I get so excited talking about it, man, because it's just like that fleeting feeling. You only get it for a couple seconds after you accomplish it. It's like it's there for like a 2-second thing, that adrenaline rush. And then it's gone. And then you gotta chase it again and absolutely love it, right? To me, that's one of the best feelings in life. Some people, they don't want that, and that's absolutely fine. But I think everybody should at least try. Because I'm willing to bet if you at least try, you might not accomplish it, sure. But you're gonna get much fucking farther than what you thought you could. And you're gonna get much fucking farther than anybody who just stays comfortable with where they're at. And I'm willing to bet if you do that, you're gonna be so much more confident in yourself. You're gonna look at yourself and actually feel proud about actually trying something. Sure, you didn't accomplish it all the way, but fuck it, you tried. And you know what? Next time you have a little more confidence going to the next thing. And also you're gonna learn lessons that will improve you for the next time as well too. It's a win fucking win. Try and fail, it's still a win. And I think that's what everybody has to understand. So, again, don't go away from that hollow feeling. Don't go away from the loneliness. Just try it. Try it out. See how it feels for 6 months. If it's not you, that's fine. Find something that works. But there are a few people who will go ahead and take that next leap and really thrive in those areas. And those are the fucking animals. Those are the motherfuckers that you don't want to fuck around with in business. Because those people will go through hell and high water to make shit happen. And understand this too, even if that's not you right now, that does not mean that will never be you, right? It just means you have to figure out a couple little other things to get you to that right mindset, to get you to go ahead and push forward, to get you to feel comfortable in the uncomfortable short-term minds, in that short-term overall feeling. So don't run away from that shit.